Now, credit card debt continues to increase across America, and more people are just paying the monthly minimum payments. And that spells trouble in the long run, because if your credit utilization is high and you get handed one of those pink slips, it's going to be a disaster in the making. And it's going to be a tough road climbing out of that debt hole that you've dug. Now, about a week ago, Larry Summers said there's about a 15% chance that the Fed actually hikes rates instead of cutting rates. And I agree with him. As we see oil begin to climb up, you're going to see more and more people hop on the page that Larry's on. And I've said all along that the Fed, they're going to have to reverse course. Now, they're not going to hike rates before the election. But after the election, if oil is over $85 a barrel, these guys, they're going to have to hike rates because inflation has become persistent. Now, the numbers that they're using are completely different than the numbers that ordinary Americans are feeling on the street. Inflation hasn't gone away. Now, gas prices have come down a bit, but everything else has risen. And at the end of the day, more Americans are dishing out more money for services and goods than they were a year ago. Now, one of the observations that I'm seeing across America, people are flocking to stores that have deals. And I'm seeing more people use coupons than I've seen in quite a while. And I applaud those people. That shows you the financial strain that many Americans are in. More people are picking up and flipping through those store circulars looking for deals. And if we get another bout of inflation like we had a few years ago, you're going to see drastic behavioral financial change in a lot of people. Now, new car inventory is rising pretty fast, and there's about an 80-day supply of new cars, and that's the highest since June of 2020. And what does that mean? Well, if those cars don't get sold quick, you're going to see some of those automotive factories begin to slow down or begin to lay off workers. Now, looking at the strength of the U.S. dollar and the dollar index and where commodities are now, I can see a scenario where oil easily goes over $100 a barrel this year because the dollar and the dollar index has a lot of room for weakening. And if that happens, that's going to spell big trouble for the U.S. consumer. Another bout of inflation like we had 2 years ago, it'll be a knockout blow and there'll be no coming back. Now, one of the things I always look to as a barometer for the economy are the railroads and trucking. And whenever I see the railroads laying off, now these aren't big numbers, but whenever I see reduction in railroad employee numbers, that's not good. That means perhaps a rail yard is closing down or some maintenance shop is closing down. And that tells me that things are slowing. Now, we've already seen a slew of trucking bankruptcies. We know the trucking industry is slowing down, but it looks like the railroads are beginning to follow. And if you just use these two industries as a metric, as a barometer, you can pretty much ignore everything that comes out of the Fed and comes out of the talking TV heads. Now, with the financial turmoil that's going on with New York Community Bank and the commercial real estate debt that's behind that bank, I believe later on this year, we're going to begin hearing about the exposure to the big banks. Now, there's $1 trillion in debt due to mature this year. And I can't believe that it's all going to be put on the back of just regional banks. My thinking is some of that debt is held by the big banks. And I think later on this year, once a few of these regional banks collapse, we're going to start hearing about the contagion, the exposure that some of these big banks have to commercial real estate debt and some of these maturing loans. And as we get closer to the election, I believe we're going to begin seeing the real numbers. And the day after the election, maybe a week or so, those hands that were supporting this market, they're going to disappear. And you're going to see this market drop. Now, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.